Hi everybody, and welcome to this month's live training, and I hope you're keeping very well wherever you are. And I just want to check to make sure that the audio stream is coming through. My microphone's working. Just 1 second. Live training. Yeah, I can hear my own voice. I've got my phone here, and I've got my laptop here. I've got screens all over the place. And hopefully it won't break down like it did a couple of months ago. In fact, it was a nightmare. I think was it last session about a month ago. I discovered, I got this hard drive failure is always the ultimate worry concern for anybody who's computer reliant. And I got an SSD failure warning about a month or so ago. The solid state drive, and the operating system runs on the SSD drive. Anyway, it was fairly painless to get a new SSD, clone across the data, install it, and it worked. My computer is stable again, and I have a new Dell arriving hopefully quite soon. So anyway, these are the challenges, technical challenges of live broadcasts. And when you're doing it live streaming like this, it's so processor intensive. The fan goes crazy, and and when you're doing live video streaming, it's very different to playing around with spreadsheets and word processors and web browsers. So I can't wait for this new machine to arrive, because it's years since I've upgraded my computer, even though it was high spec. Anyway, I hope you're keeping really well. Very important topic this month for the Secrets of Success mentoring program. And the title is Discover Your Purpose, Master Your Life. Discover your purpose, master your life. I've met countless people over the years who have told me, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't have much purpose in life. And they're always chasing their purpose, always looking for their purpose. And they think that everything will change once they discover their purpose. And look, there is some truth to that, but as you'll discover, it's different to what most people think. Now, it's fact that when we feel a lot of meaning and purpose, we have a lot of meaning and purpose in our lives, the whole flavor of our life changes. When we live each day with purpose, it gives us more joy, it gives us more enthusiasm and zest in life. But if you compare that to people who feel they have no purpose, life goes a very, very, very different way. And in my bestseller, The Most Powerful Goal Achievement System in the World, if you haven't got a copy, you can download a free copy in the members area. If you're not a member, you can get it for $1 on Amazon Kindle format. The paperback is more expensive, but I'm literally giving it away. But there's in one of the chapters, I talk about a fictitious guy called John, who's literally, his life drifts, and comparing him to his old school friends, their lives go in very different ways because he doesn't have purpose. And if you have very little meaning and purpose, you just don't know what your life is about, you will end up reacting to changing external circumstances instead of carving out the sort of life that you want. So this is a subject that's really close to my heart. It's a subject that is so important for everyone to find their purpose or enhance their purpose. And we're going to be looking at some interesting subjects, as you'll discover. But before we get going, I'm going to be going over to in front of my main video camera in a moment. I'm going to blank out this webcam on my desktop computer, and I'm going to do the presentation from over there with my clicker and the big screen as normal. But I like to always get a feel for the group each month, and that's why I always ask a question, and I'm going to look in the chat to your responses. And basically on a scale of 1 to 10, because I try to tailor according to people's needs, I try to tailor the presentation or alter it to cover people's questions. And of course, we have questions and answers at the end. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how purposeful do you feel most of the time? If you feel full of purpose and exactly what your mission in life is, give yourself a high ranking, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you feel your life right now doesn't have much purpose, or you haven't found your purpose and you're grappling with this, give yourself a lower ranking, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm just looking at people's responses here. I'm seeing 4, 5, 9, 3. Also, quite a lot of different numbers all over the place. So a lot of, what would you say, a variety. So it looks as though our group today, some are feel a lot of purpose, others do not. So that's the first question. Second question: if you had twice as much meaning and purpose in your life, how would you feel? If you had twice as much meaning and purpose in your life, how would that make you feel most of the time? Imagine how that would make you feel. And I'm looking at people's responses. Already a few coming in here. Energized? Yeah, absolutely. More alive? Greater fulfillment? Absolutely, definitely. More courageous? Happier? The feeling that anything is possible? Excited? Energized? 7.5. This is great. Wonderful, wonderful. So yeah, that's so true. You know, when we have so much meaning and purpose in our lives, we do feel energized. We do feel more alive. We do feel more empowered. We have more fulfillment. We're more courageous. But if we feel very little meaning and purpose, we don't have those things. So it's a fundamentally important topic in success and high performance is finding deeper meaning and purpose. Okay, so once again, the topic today is discover your purpose, master your life. And we're going to look at some interesting subjects. I'm going to say no more. I don't want to spoil it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blank out this video camera. I'm going to go over to my main video camera. The screen will go blank for a moment, but I'm not going away. Bear with me, and the other video camera will spring to life. So I need to do a couple of things. I'm going to get rid of that. Is that a caption up there? That we go. Is that gone? It's gone. Great. And I'm going to blank out this camera now, and you're going to see just a static image just for a moment. Just bear with me. Hi everybody, and welcome to this month's live training. And it's got a really important subject for you this month, and it is discover your purpose, master your life. And this is advanced purpose mastery. And do you know what your major life purpose is in life? A lot of people don't. It's a question I ask almost everyone. What's your purpose? What's your mission in life? What do you want to achieve? And a lot of people draw this blank expression. And it's sad, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to discover your life's true purpose if you're not already aware of that. And you know, when you find your deep purpose in life, everything becomes magical, literally. Life starts to sparkle. When you have really strong purpose in your life, every day is a joy. It's exhilarating. But people who feel they have no purpose, it's the opposite. It's really sad. So we're going to look at this in depth, and by the end of this session, I am sure you will become clearer on what your purpose is. Even if you're already aware what your purpose is, you will have more depth and more understanding. And if you are not clear on your life's purpose, I'm going to share with you a very simple way to become clear, and that can change everything. So last month, what did we cover? Because every month new people are joining us for the first time, and I always do a quick refresh. Last month we covered how to become a better communicator, also how to get people to understand your point of view, how to gain more respect from others, how to be more persuasive in every interaction. The whole session was about persuasion, and how to use persuasion to get ahead in life, how to persuade others to do what you want. It sounds like manipulation, but it is most certainly not. And also
a 3-part formula, really powerful, simple formula for thinking through any situation in advance where you need to be highly persuasive. That was dynamite. So if you need to be very persuasive, maybe you've got an interview for a job coming up, or you need to ask your boss for a pay rise, or you're starting a new business venture or an existing one where you need to be really persuasive. Situations where you need to be really persuasive, important meetings, that formula will help you in advance to prepare for that meeting. And, you know, there's this expression, failing to plan is planning to fail. It is. But if you can prepare in advance for situations where you need to be highly persuasive, the outcome, it can be enormously different. Okay, so that was the last month. So what are we going to cover today? All about purpose, all about discover your purpose, master your life. So today we're going to, you're going to discover your overall life purpose. You know, what is our overall life purpose as a human being? Because we have an overall life purpose and we have an individual life purpose, as we will discover. And also how to have greater meaning in your life. It's really important. What is life like if you feel there's very little meaning? It's not very pleasant. And also I'm going to share with you a powerful way to find your multiple life purposes. Because, okay, we have a purpose as a human being, and then we have multiple individual life purposes. I'm going to show you how to uncover those multiple life purposes, and also how to have more power and energy in your life. And I'm going to share with you a certain way to live a life of no regrets. And also how to craft a powerful life mission statement that you can then use to guide you every day of your life. Okay? And why are these things even important? You know, are they important? Oh, I assure you they are. Well, firstly, you'll be able to achieve all your goals more easily. Also, you'll experience greater fulfillment in life. You'll be able to save time and energy in every area of your life, and you'll also be an inspiration for others. Okay, so these are really important. This is a really important subject. So first of all, clarity on life purpose. Are you clear on your life purpose? A lot of people aren't. And you know what? Finding your own unique overall purpose in life is so important. Your overall purpose in life, your major life purpose, and we all have a major life purpose. And to be honest, I really feel it's one of the most important things we can do in life. Uncover what our major life purpose is. And unfortunately, most people never do this. Most people never do this, and their lives do not change in the ways that they could. And they settle for mediocrity, instead, you know, it's just second best. Life is supposed to be far more than just settling for second best. Not knowing what our purpose is, we will settle for second best, or third, or fourth, or fifth best. Life isn't supposed to be like that. So finding your major life purpose gives you far greater meaning, energy, and enjoyment of life. It's a huge magnifier. Finding your major life purpose, it enhances every aspect of your life. And the fact is, you can achieve huge goals that other people never can, when you know exactly what your life is about. If you don't, life drifts. You end up just reacting to changing external circumstances. Do you want external circumstances, events that happen to dictate how your life turns out? Or do you want to take the bull by the horns and decide what you want to create? It's all down to life purpose, finding your major life purpose. And really, when you know your purpose, when you're really clear on it, you really can achieve extraordinary things in your life instead of drifting. So, no purpose, very little understanding of life purpose. life can be directionless. And people who feel that they have very little purpose have very low energy and experience very poor results. So life purpose is everything. But having a deep sense of purpose is totally the opposite. It can give you great joy and fulfillment each day, each and every day, no matter what's happening, good stuff and bad stuff. When you're really clear on your purpose, it gives you great joy and fulfillment. And honestly, the impossible becomes possible. This is one of the hallmarks of the world's most successful people, the world's most influential people, the world's happiest people. They're clear on what they want. They know exactly what their life is about, or they have a good idea about it. So I think that you'll find that this is a subject that's really important. It's fundamental to living a life of meaning and purpose and fulfillment and aliveness and joy. That's what life is supposed to be about. So, there are two types of life purpose. Two types. Firstly, your overall purpose as a human being, which I mentioned a few minutes ago. What's that? Let's find out in a few minutes. And secondly, your own unique individual purpose or purposes. Because we don't just have one unique individual life purpose. We have multiple, as we'll discover. Okay? So that's two types of life purpose. Your own individual unique life purpose and your overall purpose as a human being. So first of all, let's look at our overall purpose as a human being. And this is the question, that all philosophers have tried to answer over thousands of years. What's the purpose of human life? Well, here's Aristotle, or a photograph of a statue or of his head or his... Anyway, Aristotle said, happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. Is that true? Maybe, maybe not. Philosophy, fascinating. It's the search for answers. But maybe he was correct. Maybe he's not. If he was correct, then why are so many people miserable? I'll read this again. Aristotle said, happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. That was his understanding. So, what is our purpose as a human being? Well, we have to go deep into or skirt around the surface of a very deep subject, the evidence for life after death. This is a book I wrote many years ago, Afterlife, Startling Evidence for Life After Death, and my journey started way back in 1977. My cousin, to whom I was very close, he was my favourite cousin, but don't tell my other cousins that. Peter was 18, about 2.5 years older than me. And it was his first year at university, and he was cycling along the road, and a driver blacked out and crashed his car into Peter, and Peter was killed. And it was incredibly awful for my whole family, particularly his parents, obviously. But there was a book that one of my other cousins, his sister, got hold of. It was called Life After Life by Dr. Raymond Moody. It was written a couple of years before, maybe only a year before. I think it was 1976 that it was published, or 1975. Anyway, Dr. Raymond Moody was a doctor, I believe in an emergency room, and sometimes people would go into cardiac arrest and die, and they would be able to revive some of these people who went into cardiac arrest. And he so many of the patients would tell him, oh my goodness, while I was dead, I remember what you said. You were talking to the nurses and doctors and surgeon, and I could hear everything, I could see everything. I was looking down on my body and I could see you trying to resuscitate me. And, you could think, this is all imagination. But you know what? A lot of these people would, if this was in most cases, as I said, this was in a hospital and setting, the people who told him these amazing stories, but people would find themselves floating through the hospital and overhearing conversations in remote parts of the hospital, conversations between people that were later verified as having taken place. And this was amazing. I was thinking, what? This book, Life After Life by Dr. Raymond Moody, changed my life. It showed me that there's some evidence here that life continues, and millions of people have had this experience. Millions of people who have temporarily died and been revived again give all sorts of stories. I'm sure you're aware of this research. All sorts of stories about, going through a tunnel of light, floating above the body, sometimes going through a tunnel of light, meeting deceased relatives, meeting beings of light, and interpreting them off, usually according to their religious conditioning. But it would appear that that being of light that we merge with after death is our higher self, because then what takes place is a life review. You re-experience everything from the point of birth to the time where you died, even though it was temporary death, and you relive it from a 360-degree perspective. You feel the joy and the hurt you've caused others as though you're feeling it, as though you were them. So it's like an evaluation, a self-evaluation of your own life. And then a point comes where you're told it's not your time and you go back to physical life. You're resuscitated. And people who have these near-death experiences, they have no fear of death from that point forward. They know life will continue. So this has been one of the greatest areas of investigation for me during my life. I've spent over 40 years studying this stuff, testing it. I'm really scientifically minded. I'm really skeptical, because in these, what would you say, these areas of research, there's all sorts of possibilities of misinterpretation. It could be, oxygen deprivation in the brain, all sorts of different things. You have to go down deep to find whether the experience, stands up to scrutiny, okay? But this research, back in the 70s, there was very little of this research, very little. Now we're at a time in human history where so many scientific studies have been done into near-death experiences and other related experiences that, I'll say no more, rather than, it was the British Medical Association in their journal, The Lancet, back, I think it was 2001, they gave a full report on this guy, his research, Dr. Pim van Lommel in the Netherlands. And he did an experiment, a study over, I think it was a 13-year period in 10 different Dutch hospitals of people who clinically died for a few seconds or minutes. And, they had these typical near-death experiences, many of them. Some of them had no recollections of during the time they were temporarily died. They were temporarily dead, but a lot of them did. And there were typical near-death experiences that we hear about, as I say, floating above the body and all that, overhearing people's thoughts. And actually, an interesting anecdote. I have a friend, a couple from Northern Ireland. He was a teacher, she was a nurse. She clinically died while giving birth, and she had the normal experiences, floating above the body, watching the surgeons trying to revive her, the doctors trying to revive her, but she was clinically dead for I don't know, about a minute and a half. And one of the doctors went out to the corridor where her husband was and said, look, we're losing her, if you have any faith in anything, pray, please. Anyway, unknown to him, she did clinically die for a short while. And he was thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to put the children into care because I can't look after them myself. I couldn't. It's just too much. because they had quite a few kids. And anyway, she was revived, and later, I don't know, it was the same day or the next week or whatever, she said, "How could you even consider something like that?" And he said, What? What do you mean? "You said you were going to put our kids into care." And he said, "Oh my goodness." He said, I was thinking that. I was thinking that. So she was able to overhear his thoughts, or see or feel his thoughts. This is so common. Anyway, but Dr. Pim van Lommel, his research found that there were, I think, something like 23 statistical differences between people who recalled experiences during the time they were dead and people, who hadn't. And the British Medical Association's journal, The Lancet, reported the findings of his big long study over 13 years in 10 different hospitals. And their conclusion was that we now have scientific evidence that life continues after death, and that we may need to now reevaluate. Science needs to reevaluate its understanding of the mind and the brain and consciousness, and the brain may not give rise to consciousness. It's possible that the consciousness, the mind, exists outside of the physical body, and it's almost possibly that they didn't specifically say this, but I'm saying this. It's possible that the brain is more like a switching station, or a hub between mind and body. Anyway, so that was very interesting. That's Dr. Pim van Lommel. That's a long time ago. As I say, 2001. And there's been lots of new studies since then that have, the conclusions are pretty much always the same, very, very similar. There is strong scientific evidence that life continues after death. You can't prove these things without dying yourself, but you can, you can have such an abundance of scientific evidence that, you just realize this is fact, This is Dr. Raymond Moody. As I say, his first book, Life After Life, totally changed my life and helped me find my purpose. And we'll look at that purpose in a moment. Overall life purpose, human purpose. And he's written many books since then. An amazing human being. He's a friend of a friend. I never met him myself, quite elderly now. This is Dr. Brian L. Weiss, and he's a psychiatrist, I think. And basically, he discovered, he used to use hypnosis with his patients, and a type of therapy is regressing people through hypnosis to a time in the past where they experienced a major trauma. And understanding, with hypnosis is just simply bringing you into a very relaxed, focused state. You can pull yourself out of hypnosis in an instant. You're not taken control over or anything like that. It's just total misinformation. But Dr. Weiss had a patient who was having, long-term serious problems. So he asked her to go back to the time, or he's asking, you might say, her higher self, her subconscious mind, to go back to a time where, this trauma originated. And it's been found by many, many psychiatrists and doctors and scientific researchers that by regressing somebody to the time when the trauma occurred, that a healing takes place, or can take place. It's just by reliving the experience without the huge emotional impact, it can be understood more and then just released, and very effective in many, many cases. So he asked one of his patients, who was in a state of trance, go back to the time when this problem originated, and it was a former past life. She died in a very tragic way, and she started talking about that life. And this was, he didn't know what to make of this. He was a well-known doctor. And, all these guys stake their entire professional reputation on their research. Anyway, Brian L. Weiss, he literally found that by regressing people, using hypnosis, he could regress people to remember, uncover from their subconscious mind memories of previous physical human lives. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. You might think, this is baloney. Check it out skeptically. I'm a real skeptic. I don't believe anything. I like to weigh things, feel things, touch things, measure things before I come to any, I never come to any firm conclusions. I think, we like to believe something or disbelieve something because it makes us feel safe. That's why my beliefs are always in transition and always updating. I don't know if I can say I have any firm beliefs of anything. My understanding of things is increasing all the time as I test more and more. But fixed beliefs, there's nothing to do with belief or blind faith or anything like that. Brian L. Weiss. And then there is my friend Daniel Brinkley. He was struck by lightning back in 1975. Yeah, he was on the phone speaking to a friend. Struck by lightning. The lightning hit a local telegraph pole or phone mast or whatever, telephone pole, and the electricity went down the phone line. He was on the phone, and 10,000 volts went from the phone down his spine, and he was dead for, I don't know at this point, but for years, it was the longest clinically documented near-death experience. He was dead for 28 minutes. Now we're told that after 2 minutes of oxygen deprivation, if you are revived, you'll be, brain dead. That's not all the case. That's not always the case. I mean, there are times when people have been no vital signs at all, but due to very low temperatures, sometimes for a couple of days. So it's not a hard and fast rule. But anyway, he was clinically dead for 28 minutes. But what was most amazing about his near-death experience, the whole thing was amazing, fascinating. But he was shown, as he said, by 13 beings of light, 13, they might say, more evolved people than himself. He was shown 117 major world events that were going to take place in the future. This is 1975. And he documented all of these back in the 1990s in his book. What's his book? I've forgotten the name. Saved by the Light. It sounds very religious, but it's not. Saved by the Light. Saved because he was not a nice guy. He was an assassin for the CIA. He had been a Marine. He was anyway. We won't go into that, but basically, he had a near-death experience. He, what would you say, reviewed his life like we all do when we die, and he couldn't forgive himself for what he'd done. But later on in this experience, he was shown these 117 major world events that would take place in the future. The nuclear accident in Chernobyl, the thinning of the ozone layer, the Earth changes and changes to our climate, the first and second Gulf Wars, really specific major world events. And I think there's only 2 or 3 left to go. Because they've all happened. Really specific major world events. Now, you might think that, this is all just hallucination and imagination. How the hell can you hallucinate or imagine things that then happen? That then actually happen? That's not imagination. It's like very specific information being transferred into his consciousness while he was dead, which he then recollected and documented. And I've seen so many of these major world events take place during the time I've known him. I was with him in Peru and Egypt in 1999. We became great friends, and we're still in touch. He's an amazing human being. I say he sometimes comments on my YouTube videos and things. But anyway, Daniel's story is very interesting because it shows that something real is happening. In fact, he saved my life back in when I was with him in Peru. He said, "You're going to go to Turkey, aren't you?" in a couple of months. And I hadn't told him this, because he's very intuitive. And I said, yeah, you're right. And he said, well, don't go, because there's going to be an earthquake the very day you're supposed to arrive. In that very same location where you're staying, there's going to be an earthquake. So I advise you not to go, because people will be killed. So, really? So I didn't. I postponed my plan. Or completely, I've never been to Turkey actually, before or after. And he was right. That earthquake did happen the day I was due to arrive, and in the very place I was supposed to be staying. So he could have saved my life. So anyway, so that's Danyan. And then we have Professor Ian Stevenson. He was, Professor Ian Stevenson, he was, I think, a professor of psychology or psychiatry in the University of Virginia Medical School, I believe. And anyway, he went in the early 1960s to India to check out a story he'd heard about a little boy who remembered a previous life, and all the details checked out, really specific details. And you know, he went, it was actually Sri Lanka, and he checked it all out, and the little boy met his previous wife, who was very old at this point. And I mean, extraordinary level of proof that these things are real. In fact, you know, if you read one of Professor Ian Stevenson's books, they're really scientifically written, and he had enormous. He's passed away a few years now, but he had enormously high reputation because of his stringent scientific methods, and he wrote up thousands of these past life memories that are provable because they stand up to extraordinary level of scientific scrutiny. So this stuff is real. And then there's he wasn't a doctor, Robert Monroe, who started the Monroe Institute, which is you might say an organization that researches the states of consciousness that we all go after we die. It's possible to explore these realms while still alive. Extraordinary man. And I was taught by one of his students some years ago, Bruce Moen, who passed away a couple of years ago. So, you know, but look, what does all this research tell us? Finally I'm getting to the point of all this. What is our purpose as a human being? According to this research, whether it's near-death experiences, whether it's past life memories, whatever, or exploring beyond the realm of physical existence using sound and various different mind entrainment, what would you say, methods, Monroe Institute. The research tells us, all of this, the research tells us that the purpose of life is to grow spiritually and to help others in any way that we can. This is the common purpose to every human being on this planet. Now, what does this mean, to grow spiritually? It's nothing to do with religion. Religion can help you be more spiritual or more spiritually evolved. Sometimes it can hamper it if there's a lot of fear and dogma thrown in. As Daniel Brinkley said once, religion is a bit like Swiss cheese. There's a lot of solid bits, but there's also a lot of holes. Swiss cheese is full of holes. He said, which do you like, the solid bits or the holes? Anyway, so the purpose of life is to grow spiritually. What does that mean? Inner qualities, strength, resilience, compassion, love, wisdom. To grow all these qualities, that's spiritual growth. And often we grow them most quickly through hardship. I'm not saying we should always try to live a hard life. I'm not saying that at all. But honestly, I had to lose everything to discover all sorts of amazing things that I now share publicly. Like this sort of stuff. I lost everything back in, 17 years ago. Couldn't even feed my wife or our son, who had just been born. And I had been a millionaire. I'd sold my business to a multinational, but I made some bad investments. I trusted the wrong people, and it was all gone. and our son had been born, and I had no more money to feed him or my wife or myself. I remember us spending our last 10 euros in the entire world. That's about $11. I remember spending the last $11. Most frightening time in my entire life, but also the most enriching experience because of what I learnt from it. So growing spiritually often entails hard work, but we're also here to help others in any way that we can. So if what we are doing on a day-to-day basis, if we are focusing on growing spiritually, becoming a better person, more loving, more compassionate, more caring, and we are also helping others in any way that we can, we are fulfilling our mission as a human being. Okay? So what Aristotle said, that's not solid enough to me. Modern life after death research, because so much repeatability. And the way, scientific research demands repeatability. So we live in amazing times now. You may not be familiar with this research. We live in an age where there is so much information. There's never been an explosion of knowledge. But most of us don't have the time to explore all sorts of different things, and we just have to deal with the most immediate things. So, it's very possible you may not be aware of this body of evidence, and it is overwhelming, and it's a subject that most people avoid like the plague until much later in life, if they have the courage to do so, because they think, oh, death, I don't want to look at that, because if it's annihilation and there's nothing afterwards, oh, that's terrifying. What's the purpose in anything then? It doesn't matter. But when you take the time to look into this evidence for life after death, it is utterly fascinating. It will change your life forever, and you'll find your purpose much more easily. I'm not saying you have to do this to find your major life purpose, but it helps. Okay? So, then, individual life purpose. What's our individual life purpose? Okay, every human being has a common shared overall life purpose to grow spiritually and help others in any way that we can. But what's your own individual life purpose? Well, Confucius said, this is Confucius, or a picture of him, choose a job you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. I cannot agree more. What I do, I love doing, and it's not work, it's joy. It's joy. Choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. Sad reality is we have millions of people, hundreds of millions of people doing, maybe even billions of people doing a job that they hate. And that's absolutely feels like drudgery. So choose a job you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. But the reality is, as I say, a lot of people get trapped in a job that they hate because they're not clear on what they want. And I think, what? It comes down to that, because if you're not clear on what you want, you'll end up doing what life gives you, and it can often be third best. So how do we discover what our unique purpose is? Well, we can combine these two types of life purpose. Our purpose as a human being and our individual life purpose to create a major life purpose. Or can we combine these two types of purpose to create a powerful major life purpose? Absolutely we can. Absolutely, and we'll look at that. So, the fact is, when we start contributing to something greater than ourselves, we become deeply happy and truly fulfilled. When we start contributing to something that's even greater than ourselves. This is fact. And, we become a powerful catalyst for change in the world around us. When we start to contribute to something greater than ourselves, it affects other people in a very powerful way. So, here's a simple exercise for you to find your own major life purpose. And you don't have to write any of this down. You don't need to write any notes, because I'm going to give you the slides from this entire presentation at the end in a downloadable PDF format, so you can print them out and do the exercises in your own time. And do take time, because this, spend 30 minutes, 1 hour at this. Oh my God, it can be the most important 30 minutes or hour of your life, in that you can totally change the direction of your life by doing these simple exercises. So, how to find your own major life purpose exercise. Explore your passions, skills, and past experiences. So, step 1, ask yourself, what activities make you feel most alive? If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you love to do? If you were a billionaire, what would you do? What would you spend your life doing, your time doing? What do you enjoy learning about the most? What are those subjects that, when you were younger, you'd stay up all night chatting with your friends about? What are the things that you love learning about the most? What issues have been a constant theme in your life? Because, constant themes in our life can be great teaching tools, but also we can share with others those themes, and it can help alleviate other people's burdens who are going through the similar sort of things. What do you enjoy talking most about? What do you enjoy learning about the most, and what do you enjoy talking about most with others? Okay, and what kind of giving is most rewarding to you? We can give and contribute to others in all sorts of different ways. So what kind of giving is most rewarding to you? And what have you struggled with most of your life? As I say, those are the things that can really help other people. Can give them strength at rough times when they know that you've gone through similar, and you're able to tell them that, and how you felt at the time and what gave you hope. And what are your most unique talents that you excel in? Everybody has unique talents. So write all these things down. Write all these things down. So step 2, that was step 1. Okay, that was all step 1. Explore your passions, skills, and past experiences. Now, step 2, ask yourself, how could I use these passions, skills, and experiences to also help others? Okay? Write down all your ideas. I'll say that again. Ask yourself, how can I use these passions, skills, and experiences to also help others? Come up with ways. Doesn't matter if some of them sound crazy to you. Just do a brain dump. Possibilities, okay? Step 3, the one that gives you the most excitement, energy, and enthusiasm, and that also contributes to your inner growth, is most likely your current major life purpose. Okay, this is really simple, but it's really effective, okay? And step 4, create a major life purpose statement that reflects your choice. Okay? So you're whittling it down, and then you're creating a statement, a mission statement. Mission statements are great, or major life purpose statements are really great, because it's something that you look at frequently, preferably every day, and it guides you to keep moving forwards and doing what is most meaningful. Okay? Life-changing stuff, this. Step 5, fine-tune and improve that statement, your major life purpose statement or mission statement, until it feels just right. This may take months. You may fine-tune it, over a period of time, maybe even a year. But just get started, have something to start with, and, over time it'll become clearer and clearer and clearer. But if you don't do this, it won't become clear. 1 second, I need some water. To your very good health and happiness. Okay, so create your own major life purpose or mission statement. How do you create this statement? Part 1, well, your major life purpose, or call it here your MLP, is your passions or, skills and experiences, plus your daily actions, plus your contributions to others, okay? So your major life purpose statement needs to incorporate all of those, okay, for it to be really meaningful. So what is your major life purpose statement? Do you have one? If not, well, I'm showing you how to do it. Mine is, this is just an example, and yours will be completely different, I'm sure. Mine is to inspire, motivate, and empower people so that they can achieve their goals and become deeply happy. So, as I say, I'll say that again. My own one, and yours will be different. Mine is to inspire, motivate, and empower people so that they can achieve their goals and become deeply happy. That, you know, mission statements or major life purpose statements, they can morph or change slightly over time. This one hasn't changed that much, you know, compared to 5 years ago. I'm really clear on my purpose, and it's really clear in my mind, and it does act as a guide. I do look at this frequently. So you need to create your own statement, and you know, more, and we'll go into this from a different perspective a little bit further in the high performance section in just a moment, actually. So it takes time to create one that, as I say, that truly fits. It may change a little over time. Okay, so here are some examples of mission statements or major life purpose statements of famous people. And this is Tony Robbins: to make a significant difference in the quality of life of people. That's great. That's really clear and concise. Oprah Winfrey, her one is to be a teacher and to be known for inspiring my students to be more than they thought they could be. I love it. Brilliant. And this is Sir Richard Branson: to have fun in my journey through life and learn from my mistakes. Doesn't include anything about, you know, contribution to the world, but my goodness, he's contributed enormous things to the world, including the possibility for ordinary people to be able to go into space just in the last couple of months. That's a whole new era of human life and existence. Martin Luther King: to unite people and promote equality. Wonderful, wonderful. So now into the high performance section. This is really important. Stick with it. It's only a few minutes. So what is high performance? Well, high performance means excelling and succeeding above and beyond standard norms consistently over the long term. This is Brendan Burchard, the founder of the High Performance Institute. I've had the great privilege to get to know him. I've been in his mastermind group for a few years. And he has done this huge study. I think it's 300,000 high performers, people at the tops of their game, the most successful, happy, fulfilled people on the planet. And he found that there are these people, the tops of their game, that aren't burnt out but are really full of life and do extraordinary things in the world. They have common denominators. They have certain habits and practices that they use all of the time, that they use frequently, that gives them their results. So this is all scientifically proved to work. Okay, so high performance techniques. Well, firstly, as I say, they have been scientifically proved to work. High performers try to always get adequate rest and exercise. They also focus on their diet, the sort of food, the high quality food that they consume, and their nutrition. They take energization breaks, preferably every 60 to 90 minutes. So when you start the day, you don't just lose lose energy as you go through the day. You replenish it as you go through the day. So at the end of the day, you're not burnt out. And, you know, high performers progress their goals daily. They use some sort of planner at the beginning of each day to make sure that they, move forwards in their goals instead of just reacting to changing external circumstances. That's one of the ways where, it can enhance your success in any area of life enormously. Planning. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Or planning to fail. Failing to plan is planning to fail. When you plan your days, they turn out very different. So the result of focusing on these things, you dramatically improve your productivity. You work smart rather than hard. You may work hard as well, but you make so much more progress. And you feel so much better about yourself, and life is much more enriching. And high performers reduce stress and burnout. It's not run till you drop, quite the opposite. And high performers have greater focus, and they get more done with less effort, less stress, and they get things done more quickly. Okay? And they achieve, this is, once again, fact, they achieve far higher success than 95% of people. That's fact. So high performance is minimum effort, maximum result. Okay, it's the smart way to work. So we experience these things: clarity, energy, courage, productivity, and influence by mastering these areas of life: productivity, persuasion, psychology, physiology, presence, and purpose. And every month we cover one of these boxes, okay? So right now we're focusing on purpose, okay? So these are questions you need to ask yourself. As I say, you don't need to write any of this down right now. Print out the PDF, print out the slides at the end, and do this exercise. So the world's highest performers are remarkably purpose-driven in how they live and lead their lives. So number one, how purposeful have you felt in the past 3 months? So rate yourself 1 to 10. This will give you a lot of, what would you say? It's a way of checking in on yourself and see how you're doing, and if you may need to make a few adjustments. This gives you great perspective on where you are right now. So how purposeful have you felt in the past 3 months? Rate yourself 1 to 10. 1, not purposeful at all. 10, full of purpose, okay? Number 2, what would you need to do to feel you are living with greater purpose? Answer that question for yourself. Number 3, have you ever felt off purpose in your life for a prolonged period of time? Yes or no? If so, what was happening then? What was happening then to make you off purpose? A lot of learning in that. A lot of discovery, okay? Number 5, when you are feeling purposeful during your day, how would you describe it? For me, I feel energized, okay? Would you? I mean, what do you feel? When you are feeling purposeful during your day, how would you describe it? Get really clear. How do you describe it? Number 6, do you feel the people in your life now understand what your purpose is and relate to it? And if you don't, you won't share or ask for help when you need it. This is fact, okay? Number 7, is there anyone in your life who seems to be off their own purpose? Okay? Answer that and think about what's making it, what does that look like to you? Okay? So, if so, who is that and how could you help them? How could you help them? So if you come up with solutions to help them, you actually come up with solutions to help yourself when you're feeling off purpose. Wonderful. It's just a little psychological flip that when you're focused on, you're thinking about how to help someone in that situation, you're actually coming up with answers for yourself. You're tapping into a higher level of wisdom within yourself. I need more water. You're very good health. Nearly at questions and answers now. We're nearly at the end. So that's, yeah. So high performance, this is a tool. Defining and leading our purpose. So defining our life's purpose in a singular statement is often regarded as a must-do activity in personal development, which we've already discussed. But the challenge is that you can have different purposes in different parts of your life. For example, you might have one in your purpose in your relationship, another purpose in your career, and different times in your life, your purpose in different areas changes. You might have your purpose as a parent. So we've multiple life purposes, not just one. Okay. Now, unfortunately, too many people also obsess about their life's single purpose and simply don't realize living each day with purpose and meaning is the ultimate goal, regardless of whether you're clear on an overall life plan and purpose. Now, I showed you a very simple but effective way to become really clear on your major life purpose. That's really important. That will act as a guide to you, but also you have all these other multiple life purposes. So still, as I say, having a singular statement in mind can sharpen your focus and remind you of what's most important. So create your own major life purpose or mission statement. Part 2. Once you have your purpose statement, start sharing it with others. When they see you living and role modeling your purpose, they're inspired to do the same. You can act as a catalyst to others when you are clear on what you're about. Okay, so in defining your here are a few things to consider. Number 1, the statement can be as much about being as doing. For example, part of Brendan Burchard's purpose statement is to be fully alive and vibrant, which has nothing to do with career or goal-oriented objectives. Okay, so this is for you now. The thing I'd like my purpose statement to remind me to be include, fill in the blanks there. Number 2, the statement can have a to-do item or items that aren't career focused. Brendan's includes to adore and appreciate my loved ones, which again is not something that is career related at all. Even in addressing career or ambitions, Brendan's to-do item is to strengthen and share my gifts, another pretty broad statement. Though everyone tells you to be super specific about what you want, which is great in goal setting obviously, purpose statements that are a bit more broad in scope help us focus on what's really important in a variety of contexts, okay? So, for you, the thing I'd like my purpose statement to remind me to do include, see what we're doing here? That was doing, being, and what was the first one? Okay, yes, doing and being. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so that was the thing that I'd like my purpose statement to remind me to do include, fill in your own things that you want your purpose statement to remind you to do. Now, number 3, the statement might also have a so that element that describes why you want to be and do these things as part of your purpose. This is really important, so that, the underlying reason. If you read my bestseller, The Most Powerful Goal Achievement System in the World, there's a whole chapter on finding your deep reason why for things. That's so important. That gives you so much energy and power and clarity. So having a so that element is really important. For example, Brendan's statement ends with, so that I might inspire others to live more fully, love more openly, and make a greater difference today. So the why or so that reason that I want to be and do the things I wrote above are, or is, fill in the blank, okay? So now, at this point, you tie your answers together, okay? Your answers 1, 2, and 3 together into one statement. So let's look at an example. Once again, Brendan Burchard's. His is, the purpose of my life is to be fully alive and vibrant, to adore and appreciate my loved ones, and to strengthen and share my gifts so that I might inspire others to live more fully, love more openly, and make a greater difference today. Very long one. I prefer some shorter ones, but an awful lot is incorporated into that. So yours might be a long one, might be a short one. I often find with a mission statement, major life purpose statement, is it starts out big and over time you can whittle it down. So there are less words and more power behind them. So write your own statement here, okay, or start coming up with statements. You can cross off any that don't sound great or don't really reflect what you really want your mission statement to be, but get started. So in order to lead and inspire others in finding their own purpose in their lives or careers, I could begin a habit of. What habit could you begin to help lead and inspire other people in finding their own purpose in their lives or careers? Very important, very important. As I said earlier, life after death research says that we are all here in this world to grow those inner qualities, courage, love, wisdom, compassion, resilience, and also help others in any way that we can. So this is fundamentally important. In order to lead and inspire others in finding their purpose in their lives and careers, I could begin a habit of, fill it in, come up with ways. What habits could you incorporate into your life? So what have we covered today? We're going to go to questions and answers in just a moment, and you can ask me anything. So we looked at how to discover your overall purpose in life, and I've showed you 2 distinct ways. How to have greater meaning in your life, a powerful way to find your multiple life purposes, how to have more power and energy in your life, the certain way to live a life of no regrets, and how to craft a powerful life mission statement, and just some recommended resources if you want to know more about all these guys' research. Dr. Pim van Lommel, one of his books is Consciousness Beyond Life, The Science of the Near-Death Experience. And there's Dr. Raymond Moody, Life After Life, The Light Beyond, Coming Back, several others as well, amazing writer. Dr. Brian L. Weiss, Many Lives, Many Masters. He had other books as well. I remember listening to Many Lives, Many Masters on audio cassette way back, I think mid-1990s or late 1990s. Amazing, amazing. Daniel Brinkley, Saved by the Light, and several other books. Professor Ian Stevenson, Children Who Remember Previous Lives, and he wrote many other books as well. Robert A. Monroe, Journeys Out of the Body, plus other books. And finally, Brendan Burchard, High Performance Habits, and other books as well, amazing books. So those are the recommended resources for today. So it's over to you. Ask me anything about today's session, or anything that you would like help with, or you'd like, ask me anything. Anything you feel that I might be able to help you with. So I'm going to go over in front of back to my desktop computer and webcam. And once again, as always, this camera and mic will blank out temporarily. And when I'm in front of my desk, in just a couple of seconds, that camera will spring to life, and the microphone. So don't go away. Stay with me. I'll be with you in a second.
Okay, I hope you found that helpful. Just make sure that my audio feed from this mic is still working. 1 second. I think so. Oh, yep. Yeah. Paranoia. You know, when it breaks down a few times, you start thinking it's going to break down. So it all seems good today. So thanks so much for joining me. I hope that has been helpful for you. I'm just looking at chat. Oh yeah, before we get into chat, I just want to paste these slides into the chat box. So make sure did that come out? Did that come out? 1 second. Yeah, I don't see it. Why didn't that come out? Hang on a sec. Maybe there's a delay. You should see on the right-hand side of the page a download link. Yes, it's there. There's something like a 15-second delay between me saying something and it actually coming through YouTube and Facebook and the other places that this is broadcast simultaneously in several different places. So questions and answers, put them in the chat box and I'll answer them here. If you're watching the replay, you can still post a question in the chat, or send me an email. Visit my website, send me an email, and I will reply to you. First one is from Peter. Great advice and so much value you give to people, Mike. Thank you so much. Mike is a guy to follow and true leader. Thanks, Peter. Oh, I see you another two more just after. How do you stay fully sharp on your goal? Thanks. Great question, Peter. Great question. You know, I think it's really important to look at our goals every single day. You know, the purpose of having goals is not just to create our lives, but to look at our goals every day. And I know you know all about affirmations at this point. And when the way we influence our subconscious mind is through repetition and emotion, particularly repetition of thought plus positive, powerful emotion. And it's like our subconscious mind is almost like Aladdin's genie. It does things for us. Everything I teach, virtually, my whole book is on goal achievement. It's very different from other goal achievement systems because it's based on this, using your subconscious mind. And when you are looking at your goals every day, and preferably if you've rewritten your goals, Peter, as affirmations, and you inject positive energy, emotion into them, you know, using the anchoring technique that I cover in both books, I think, it just means that you're constantly sending commands to your subconscious mind to help you achieve what you want. It's a way of reprogramming your subconscious mind. It's like just like programming a computer. And then you get inner nudgings and feelings to phone someone at a certain time. Oh my goodness, what a coincidence! Or you bump into someone, you think about going somewhere at a certain place, and some big coincidence happens. I've experienced this continually throughout my life, because I've known this thing about using the subconscious mind for most of my life, and I use it, and it's enabled me to create at this point. Oh my goodness, I think I'm at my 20th company. Not all of them have been highly successful. Some of them have been abject failures, particularly the one I had 17 or 18 years ago. But subconscious mind is everything. Subconscious mind is everything. So I hope that helps, Peter. If you haven't got it, pick it up. Amazon, $1. Or if you're a member, go into the resource section in the members area and download it for free. It's helped many people's lives, and helped so many people achieve their goals. It's got so many hundreds and hundreds of 5-star reviews, a few bad reviews as well. So, most of them from people who admitted not fully reading it. But there you go. It's when I get into the esoteric stuff that I lose some people. But there you go. You can't give 50%. You have to give the whole thing. Otherwise, the system doesn't work. Anyway, so I hope that helps. Message here from Curty. Hi, Curty. It says, I am so much younger than you are, but I am much lower in energy. Though I do have a goal to achieve. What do you do? How do you do it? How do you do it? I wish I could learn and practice too. Oh, well, I'm only 21, Gertie. So I'm probably much younger than you. To be honest, this what I teach every month, and these are not my words, that high performance is scientifically proved to work. These high performance techniques that I always cover in the second half of each session, or the last quarter, have been scientifically proved to work. They are strategies, tools, and techniques that the world's highest performers, a lot of them, use because they work. And as I say, Brendan Burchardt's study of, I think, 300,000 high performers worldwide have proved that these techniques work. I think we're waking up in the morning, and if we've had a good night's sleep and we've had pleasant dreams, we can have quite a bit of energy. But if we've eaten really bad quality food the night before, we might be very sluggish. So, we all start each day with a different amount of energy. But you know what? I think focusing on eating more good stuff than bad stuff, taking adequate exercise and nutrition, brain supplements, oh my goodness, that's really important. We think about our physical health, but how often do we think about, our brain health? How often do we think about, because if we are giving our brain what it needs, it regulates everything else, So I take every morning, my breakfast's pretty much always the same. I use a juicer, a hand juicer, and I throw in all sorts of berries, banana, strawberries, anything and everything, and a handful of spinach, and I add a thing called athletic greens, and they're green powder, and all sorts of superfoods and everything you can imagine. I remember start taking it, I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago, and the manufacturer said to get your blood tested, which I did before I took it. And blood tests, different things are high, some things are low. And I remember after 6 months doing as it suggested, getting my blood tested again. And my doctor phoned a week or so later and said, "Oh, I got your blood results." I thought, "Oh yeah, I wonder if it's good or bad." He said, "The most boring blood test results I've ever seen in my life." I said, "Is that good or bad?" He said, "No, it's brilliant." He said, "I've never seen blood tests so absolutely perfect across the board." So I think, when we give our body what it needs, everything else works more effectively. When I started taking these athletic greens, I also started a similar sort of time drinking bulletproof coffee. You know, do a Google search, bulletproof coffee. Uh, Real coffee blended with butter or MCT oil. You might think, butter? You know, if you think butter deposits fat in the body, yeah, it can, unless it's presented to the body in a specific way. In a molten form. So I put in a dollop of butter, blend it all up. I put in a bit of MCT oil, coconut oil, and it gives you enormous energy. It also curbs your hunger. You're not interested in food for hours afterwards. And it also gives you great brain power. I do everything I possibly can so my brain is working on peak efficiency, because I own several businesses and I need to be mentally very agile. Speed of thought is extremely important to me. There's a lot to get done in a day. So, you know, going from 0 to 100 like that is crazy. Do these things gradually. You know, a few years ago, I was overweight. I don't know what it is in pounds or kilos. I was 2 stone heavier. That's what, 28 pounds heavier than I am now. This is about, I don't know, 3 years ago maybe. And I was in Brendan Burchard's mastermind group for the first time. I've been in it for a few years. Amazing group of individuals, amazing world changers in that group. And Brendan gave us all a challenge to get in the best shape of our lives physically. So I started doing this juicing with my athletic greens and started taking bulletproof coffee and just doing a little bit of walking each day. Not much, 15, 20 minutes. And just over a period of a year and a half, I lost all this weight. Almost no effort, but so much more energy than I had. I know I'm fit. What am I fit? I'm so old I can't remember my age. I'm 58. I'm almost 59. And I have more energy now than I probably did when I was 40. Certainly more brain power. So I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry for Curtie for being so long-winded. It doesn't matter what age we are. We can do amazing things to our body. But the thing is, I'm not a doctor. So when it comes to health and nutrition, you know, take anything I say, take it with a pinch of salt. Consult a medical practitioner first before you think of changing diet or exercise, because, you know, I can only share my own personal experience. But what I've found is incremental small changes over time amount to a huge difference. So I hope that helps. Another one from Peter. Peter, hello. Thank you so much. I need this advice. Bless you. Take care. And thanks again for your incredible work to do to help you. Thank you. Thank you. And Curtie again, thank you so much. Great inspiration. I've just started on some of the things you mentioned. I will join you and follow your tips to catch up with life and more. That's great, Curtie. Delighted to hear that. Also have a question here from Tom. Actually, I'm looking at, I have this big screen. It's just exactly the same type as the screen I did the presentation from. That's my, I have, you know, huge computer screen, and you see me looking over here. You see me looking over here because I have different chats coming in from different networks, coming in from YouTube and Facebook and a few different places. And Dana's saying, thank you, great presentation, wonderful, insightful, well-informed information. Thank you, Dana. I'm glad that's helped. There's also a question here from Tom over here. I'm not sure if I need to study the evidence for life after death to find my major life purpose. It's a subject that scares me, and I'm not sure if I even want to go there. Isn't there another way? No, it's definitely not essential. Not at all. No, just do the exercises that I shared. They really are enormously beneficial. The ones that I shared from my own stuff, and also Brendan Burchard's high performance section, both together can help you find, well, the exercise I shared at the beginning will definitely help you to find your major life purpose. And with the outline of that I shared of how to come up with a statement, and then Brendan's section on the high performance of how to craft that statement, I think you'll find it enormously helpful. So you don't have to dig into the evidence for life after death, although I will say, instead of being frightening, it's absolutely and completely the opposite. I was very fortunate to start coming across all this information back when I was 15 years old. And back then, there was only one book really about the subject, and that was Dr. Raymond Moody's Life After Life, which had only just been published the year before. And I got it when my cousin, who was a couple of years older than me, died. Changed my life. So, question from, hope that helps, Tom. A question from Andrea. Hi, Andrea. I'm not very clear on the way to create my life mission statement. Should it be worded in a specific way, like an affirmation? Should I repeat it to myself frequently when I'm doing my affirmations? Great question. And I think if you just do a Google search for mission statements of famous people, and also download the PDF file that I shared, it's probably on the right-hand side of the screen in the chat. Download that, and you'll be able to craft your own mission statement. It's a very specific way. It's very simple. And, you know, I think you mentioned about affirmations. If you can convert your mission statement to an affirmation and repeat it aloud each day with positive emotion a couple of times a day, that is enormously beneficial. That's what I've done for many years. And my goodness, it really goes to work, because the more impressions you make on your subconscious mind with positive emotion, the more stuff starts to happen, and the more things start to take effect in literally magical ways. So I hope that helps you. Let me see. But, you know, either way, Andrea, I think it's really important to look at your mission statement, whether it's in affirmation format or not. Look at it at least every single day. But if you can write it as an affirmation and inject positive emotion like gratitude, dynamite. And also another question, lots of all these questions today, more than normal. This is from Frank. For many years, I didn't see any purpose in life. And just like you said, my life was directionless. After a personal crisis, I started to appreciate each day a lot more. That crisis literally shocked me into seeing everything in a completely different way, and to start appreciating and treasuring every day. My life is now completely different, and I've achieved so much since then. I'm already clear on my main purpose in life, but should I always be reaching higher and higher to truly fulfill my overall life's mission? Wow, that's amazing. Amazing, Frank. And, you know, I can understand what a crisis can do for our life. Sometimes the most painful things are the most wonderful things once you come out the other end. Okay, certainly when the time I lost everything was horrendous, most frightening time of my life. But I am so grateful for that experience, because it's led on to all sorts of amazing things. I think as your confidence grows, and you start making a bigger difference as a result of your confidence growing, you start seeing your power. Naturally, your vision of what's possible becomes bigger. You know, even I was just saying this to someone just a few days ago. I've been dreaming big for a long, long time. I've had very, very, very big goals for decades, and I've achieved most of them. In fact, 2001, it suddenly struck me one day I had achieved all my life's major goals. Some of those goals were huge. This is before I lost everything a few years before. And it was shocking in a great way. And confidence, developing self-confidence is the start of a lot of this. But I was just discussing this with a friend a few days ago, how particularly since I've been in mastermind events, you know, masterminds are groups of people who come together with a similar purpose, or people of a similar understanding or experiences who want to create something even more unique. That has helped me enormously. Even, you know, 5 years ago compared to today, my vision and my goals are much bigger. Oh my goodness, you know, I thought I was dreaming bigger, but I was really limiting myself. So I think it happens just naturally, but I don't think we need to push ourselves all of the time. I think we do to some extent, but not to give ourselves a hard time, or feel guilty that you're not, you know, constantly doing bigger and bigger and bigger stuff. You might end up burnt out. I think it's all very natural, but I think um, a higher level of service always requires a different way of viewing things. And the high performance tools that I share every month, allow you to work at that high level without getting burnt out. So they really are a gift. So hope that helps. Is this the last one? I think it'll have to be the last one for now. This is from Mary. Hello, Mary. And Mary says, I'm from a religious background, and I've always been taught that I should be content with very little, to have faith, and to not question matters of religion. For me, growing spiritually is the result of prayer, and I do believe that helping others is the way to God. Why should I investigate things like near-death experiences when the Bible is all I need? Well, I think faith is a very powerful thing, and faith determines how we live our lives and our actions and our results, because the beliefs that we carry affect the thoughts we have, which then affects our motivations and our actions and our results. And I think you certainly don't have to study the evidence for life after death if you don't want to. But I think for me, during the course of my life, I think I've gone from a level of blind faith, believing what others say or other religious teachings say, and later on digging deeper, being more skeptical, not just believing surface explanations that may or may not be correct. And it can be very scary when you dig at that level, because you may come across information that might overturn the entire cart. But ultimately, there's great wisdom and understanding that comes from that. I think to have really unshakable faith and belief in the universe, we need to dig deeper than most people. And, I think that most religions, if you look at the several layers down in the cake, as it were, most religions are saying the same things. It's all about, just like life after death research shows, it's all about becoming a better human being and helping others in any way that we can. That's almost a common denominator for different religions and philosophies. But lots of different teachings say lots of different things. And, I think a lot of the religious teachings that people practice don't necessarily completely reflect the founder's intent. And I think people over centuries come in and try to make things, in many cases they think they're doing a good job by introducing doctrine and fixed things. In other ways that maybe they're manipulating, who knows? But I think over time, most organized religions have morphed or distorted from their founder's intent. I can't prove this, but I remember hearing a friend of mine who's very religious, and I was at a seminar with him a few years ago, great guy, and he was telling me about a close friend of his who was really religious, and he started digging deeper. He did, I think, a degree in theology, I think, because he was so committed to his practice. He wanted to go even deeper. And he discovered all sorts of things from his religion's history that he wasn't happy about. And the sad thing is he gave up his religion that had been more important to him than anything else. And I think that's awful. It's throwing out the baby with the bathwater. I think as long as we are living a creative life, growing these inner qualities, courage, wisdom, compassion, resilience, and constantly taking some effort for the happiness of other people, I think we are living the most spiritual existence we can. And that is backed up in life after death research. Okay? So religion, I think, no matter what religion we are, it can enhance our spirituality or it can hamper it if there's a lot of fear and dogma that controls us and holds us back. I think the most courageous people are the people who dig deeper, and they find their faith in life actually deepens. Their faith in an understanding about life and the way things work, at least to some extent, can deepen. But it's a courageous thing to do. It's a courageous thing to do. So I hope that helps. And I think that's it. That was the last question for today. Lot this month. So listen, thanks so much for joining me. And if you are watching the replay, you can still put a question in the comments or a question in the chat. Even though the live chat won't be live anymore, your comment will be there and I will answer it, or shoot me an email. So thanks so much and stay safe and